Hi, this is Gary Holton with the Alaska Native Language Archive, and I'm going to talk about digital language archiving. So I just want to say a few things about the digital language archiving as a field. And over the last 10 or 15 years, we've developed a number of standards for archiving language data, including audio and video and manuscript data, and just a number of things that you want to bear in mind as you approach this field. There are really good resources out there, and you can reference them in the presentation to find resources on best practice standards for digital preservation. But I'll just make a few points here, and one of these, first point I wanted to make is that digitization is not the same as preservation, so we have to be very careful. Digitization is a great thing to do for old recordings and old manuscripts that you want to be able to preserve, but digitization in and of itself is not enough. The digital data that you preserve or that you create does not necessarily stay preserved unless you take steps to also preserve it in some way over the long term. That leads me to the next point, and that's another word of caution, and that's that backup is not the same as archiving. And so archiving your data involves an institutional commitment to the long-term preservation of that data. If I back up my data by putting it on a hard drive, a flash drive, that's great, that saves it for me, but if I'm not around to tell people that the information is on that hard drive or on that flash drive, then that information is subject to disappearing. So archiving really requires an institutional commitment. It needs to be bigger than any one person. It has to be located within an institution that will survive just one person's lifetime, be that a tribal entity, a university archive, or some other larger institution. So that's a really important distinction to make. Another word of caution I would point out is the distinction between preservation and presentation. So it's very popular now to make materials for language revitalization which make use of a lot of great technologies that are available today. So for example, this could be making a mobile app for a phone that allows you to listen to language or to look up words in a talking dictionary on say an iPhone app or an Android phone app, right? These are great tools. They don't preserve the language though. Another thing would be making an interactive website that teaches the language. A great tool, but it may not work in 5 years, right? Because we know all of these sorts of digital technologies change over time, and to prove that to yourself, all you have to do is look back at technologies from 10 years ago and realize that those are all obsolete now. So presentation is something we want to do to make things available, but preservation is a different step and involves using these best practice standards. So the two go hand in hand, but one does not replace the other.